Welcome to another adventure into reality. As the clocks stop working and everything comes to a moment of pause, as everyone enters the chat room, signs their name in, I have a speech for those that are out there. Now, this is a special speech. It's about understanding who you are, and what's going on in and around you. Sit back. Put your tray tables to the upright position, seats of the upright position, seat belts on, as we get ready for the adventure into reality. The most important thing you can learn on your sacred pilgrimage journey is to stop hoping for outcomes you cannot control. As long as you are creating hope in the ancient future, you aren't being present here in the now. You aren't a part of the ancient present. You are not a part of the ancient present. You are playing in the future with hope. Hope springs eternal and helps us go through creation. But there are times when hope becomes toxic. And in the journey, you must be in the ever-present moment of now, allowing hindsight and foresight, which are a different form of experience than hope. When you make that individual choice to stop controlling outcomes and allowing the divine forces of yourself to work through you, the great, incredible, and mystical things happen in our life. Living the mystical life daily is a way of life, a set of actions that are part of your spiritual agenda, and your spiritual agenda does not use hope as the only process of creating in the future. Hope is just one thing our human minds stick to, and that hope is inevitably becomes subtle control of the future. And if you are in subtle control of the future and not in equal co-creation with the moments of now, you will never truly understand how to move forward. You'll be stuck in the instant gratification of creating hope, just like buying a lottery ticket. Think you're going to win it all, and that energy is wasted when the lotto numbers have come and you haven't won. By making the active choice of the mighty I am present to eliminate hope from controlling your future, you allow yourself full control of the ancient present, access to no time, and your genius ability within to activate and co-create with the divine spirit working with all of us. We each make a choice to make pilgrimages into our personal sacred mountain of the inner self, where we go into the mountain of our heart and discover the sacredness within the tunnels that are there. The tunnels of our heart are actually our veins and arteries going through the wholeness of our body. This is the first journey into creating and discovering what the body needs on its individual level to make it closer than just sympathetic and parasympathetic, just a voluntary and involuntary operating system. When we bring the body as a part of our co-creation, we create sovereign self that functions for the body, that works with our healers in the spirit world. This first step is to throw yourself a lifeline, to create your own version of a healing self that has all the skills of the Akashic Record, all the skills of every being you've ever been before as a healer, available to you as a single guide in your sacred protected place where you have done your prayers, so that when you begin your journey, you do not step on the journey of others. And you have the ability of calling upon a healer if you should need it in your spirit journey. By not stepping on others' journeys and learning how to heal yourself during your own journey, you will find what it truly means, pilgrimaging. Pilgriming to a sacred space. You must use that sacred healer piece to look at the journey, to predict the journey's most obvious moments. Before you get in your car, on the way to the airport, when you first take your first step, your first sleep, your first awakening, all of those are moments in which the sacred healer in the sacred ever-present moment sends healing energy to the sacred future, so the ancient future now has now received the healing as the ancient present now. The sacred ever-present moment sends the healing energy to the sacred future, so the ancient future can now be an ancient present now, at some point in the connected expression of healing the self through time. By making those choices and understanding that there is a progression in creation that starts long before the journey becomes multidimensionally easier and more efficient for the I Am self to make that journey, not just a beginning with a few hundred steps, but a journey with 10,000 spiritual steps taken before the actual first step. When you make that choice, you will truly discover the power within, and why we must once again learn to do sacred pilgrimages to sacred places for our own internal purpose of creation and co-creation. Solidifying your wisdom is an action of the I Am, who acknowledges the density of the world they are in. Knowing the density of this world is changing as we get closer to the galactic central plane, and as the compression process of all that was goes into all that will be. In solidifying your wisdom, you take the power of manifesting your sovereign boundaries through contract revocation. In this moment of meditative wisdom, you summon every contract revocation, every prayer you have ever done, every sacred act you have ever done. That is fortifying and solidifying your wisdom in the most advanced form. The manifestation of your sovereign boundaries leads to creating within. Once you have those boundaries and you are in that meditative state, what do you do with it? With those solid boundaries, you create within your infinite space. This is where you create with the divine. This is where you co-create with all sources that are yourself in non-competition, non-hierarchical order. So at this moment, in that meditation, summon all of those beings in non-competition, creating within to assist the whole of your divine process. It is just a choice to bring those in. A choice to expand your knowledge, wisdom, and infinite ability to say, I'm a multidimensional being. By understanding those choices, there is a progression in creation that starts long before your journey. And solidifying your wisdom is preparation. You can transmute the old into new forms of creation, inspiration, and dreams. When you make that I Am choice of now to do that and manifesting those sovereign boundaries, you gave yourself the spiritual space to acknowledge you can by making the choice to do it in no time, in the sacred space. You transform your life process into a series of step-by-step processes that lead us on the very sacred journey that we are co-creating with the various forms of ourself, who are trying to assist us in synchronicity with all the great wisdoms. In the mighty moment of now, you have many choices, an infinite amount of choices. The first group of choices that I want you to look at is, what are you manifesting in your sovereign boundaries? Here's where you can perform basic spiritual surgery on yourself, where you can learn about the old habit patterns that make you lazy or encumbered or unencumbered with emotions. This is where, in that powerful meditative moment, you can pull the power of choice and say, I am now removing any negative form from my signature frequency of being. I am no longer a match for that subject matter that constantly creates a cyclical habit pattern of self-destruction, self-disease, and any other form of co-creation with zealot energy that leads me away from my divine, co-creative, inner transforming self, taking it step by step, place by place, moment by moment, so the greater infinite me can be here in the now. I am now removing any form of negative habit pattern that I am observing in this moment. It no longer has relevance to my greater creation. The inner transformation of the self is taken step by step, so the process of life doesn't become a series of instant gratified moments, but the infinite of our soul learning from the great experience of the I Am and the now. Your sacred journey is yours. These are suggestions to do in your powerful moments, taking the teachings from this and applying it into your knowingness in the future time, where you can draw upon this wisdom because you have felt the authentic source from your own soul frequency, planning your own spiritual agenda. Solidifying your wisdom. There are many ways to go about this. You all know that you are more than you've heard, read, or studied. What does it take for you to solidify that in your consciousness of the I Am now? Who is the greatest in these moments? Who will pull this tool out of the toolbox and manifested it? In that powerful moment, solidifying your wisdom and knowingness that is in your DNA. That is where your heart, it's where you see the double helix and visualize it, create and co-create with it. And you put your 5 senses into it and reduce and envision your body to be the heart and the fetus in your mother's womb. This is where you get to connect to our ancient present self, the one who creating contracts, vows, and agreements as the fetus in your mother's womb, before potential was solidified into action. Here is where you can alter your signature frequency teachings in the very nature of color and the way you experienced it. This does not remove the experiences. It changes the signature frequency and the teaching of them behind the seen and unseen worlds, allowing a new layer of expression, even though the old process was a trauma. When you learn to expand your knowingness with this process, you will find the act of solidifying your wisdom is the big leapfrog into removing trauma. Knowing in the heart of your hearts that you are more than you've heard, read, or studied, and there are times you run across information from source to source that with truths that triggers your knowingness to increase even more. And this is what you're doing in these powerful, personal, meditative moments. Summoning your knowingness to expand into your I am consciousness. So the I am is the heart space connected to the DNA, which holds all the memories in light. Summon all your memories that are a part of your photonic creation within your heart. Do you have the commitment and courage to follow through with the upload to your heart all of the memories that you have? For that is your DNA information, making it cellular memory. So the brain and the heart are part of the understanding and knowingness within the expansion process. Your DNA is a code. And when you unpack that code into your cellular memory, your knowingness expands. So pull out this tool in those powerful moments. Expand your knowingness to the new level. Expand your knowingness and create your new spiritual agenda. For your sacred journey is yours. And when you learn to expand your sacred knowingness, whole new levels can be really a moment. It is but allowing yourself, as the ever-present, mighty, co-creative being of the now, to take on new levels of personal triumph. So I want you all to come into reality here. Focus for a second. For I'm going to challenge people now. A different form of challenge. What I'm going to ask is people that work with quantum theory, quantum concepts. I'm going to talk about quantumality, localities, non-localities, for a challenge of those that are on that spiritual science. This is a puzzle, an equation to be figured out in words. You need not even need any information on quantum understanding to understand this, for they are just words. So for those that are new, a short time, and those that have been along a really long time, I pull out these teachings during special times, for I want you to put energy into this thought construct so that it becomes a deeper form of construct. Here's the statement. The soul is a non-locality event. Even when a locality event occurs, a non-locality side exists. Just as there is a seen and unseen world, there is the interconnectedness of localized and non-localized soul-based events. This is the nature of giving birth, becoming a localized event for the purpose of becoming an agenda-driven I am being of the now. Interconnected. Something we all experience is interconnectedness, but we don't necessarily know we are experiencing it at all times. When one begins the practice of spiritual hygiene, they have opportunities to become aware of interconnectedness in a whole new way. Some experience oneness, others have experienced a deep sense of awareness. The mystical is the unlimited point of view in a limited point of view world. Interconnectedness is a state of being within the localized event that is the singularity of you. Even though awareness may not be aware of its strength and potency in the reality, function, and format, upon achieving interconnectedness as a state of being, creates a byproduct known as superluminal thinking. Just as subatomic particles are entangled, consciousness is entangled with the interconnectedness. Thus, the byproduct is superluminal thinking. Speed of light has no applicable physics when it comes to the consciousness that is interconnected with all life forms expressing agendas and non-agendas. The past is healed and there are no scars reminding me, for each is just a memory in light. For each trauma of the past, I can use my superluminal power to pick up the mantle and journey and begin to walk with power of the dream weave as source here now, assisting me with all frequencies of life force to understand each position in reality. I thank the Earth Mother holds sacred space, so I may create sacred space within my own locality and non-locality. I call to you at all of these moments in which we look at the wholeness of ourselves in all forms of reality, shaped and formed and unshaped and formed. I call upon the earth to assist me in unraveling the story that is me unfolding in my perfection of the now moment. Help me use hindsight and foresight in a method and manner that continues this co-creation with our realms. It is here that I choose to make spiritual contracts, conscious entanglement processes before I go through the great forgetting, so that when I do forget, these contracts have everlasting interconnected values within them. Pause and think, download and process. There's aspects here that will connect each and every one. All right, infamous, stupendous, miraculous producer Robert, go ahead and spin the wheel of callers. And who do we have?
Okay, Andrew. April Moore is up.
April Moore, are you there?
Hi, yes I am. Can you hear me?
Made it through the wheel of callers, April. How are you doing today?
Wow, this is wild. I'm doing really well. Yeah.
So how did you find out about the show?
Well, it's been a while. A couple years ago, I met somebody at a hot springs, and he told me about your show. And at the time, I was traveling, pretty much living in my vehicle, mostly living in the woods. So I didn't have too much access to the internet, but I did find your... I'm a little nervous. I don't know why. I'm so excited. I'm probably more excited than nervous. But I found your revocations, and before I even saw any videos, and so I read the revocations, and the first one that I read was very touched my heart, and I've just been following your work ever since.
What was the first revocation you read?
The Divine Feminine.
The Divine Feminine. Did you cry during it?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Were they tears, healing tears, revelation tears?
I would say multifaceted, you know, just the reality of the knowing who I am and everything that I have been through as a woman, and what is my just being here on the planet in a feminine body. And it felt very healing. It inspired me to realize that I was on the right path, even though I seemed to be
didn't perceive it,
roaming around the world at that time.
Okay, that's wonderful that you found the revocations. Have you done the Union and Communion Consciousness Strike?
Yes, I have.
How did that one affect you?
Fantastic. I'm blessed. I live in a cabin in the woods now. I'm no longer living in the woods without a shelter. And I have a fireplace here, so I am making fires every day and working with them until I feel, until I feel it's good and solid. And if I don't think about it again, then I just move on to the next piece of my work that I feel called to work with.
Mm-hmm. So how did the union and communion consciousness strike affect you?
Very empowering. I feel that
Can you come right up to the phone? I'm not sure if you're not talking to the phone. It's like your voice muscles, or you go away from the ringer, the microphone.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm a little how to use this equipment. I have headphones on. So
Yeah.
do I speak to the phone, or do I just allow? I see.
So is there a
Can you
little
hear me okay?
microphone hanging down next to your chin?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys got to make sure
That's
that doesn't
what I
get
should be
caught up in your
speaking
hair, or you don't turn away from it. That's the thing with those. When you're talking away from it, it sounds like you're not next to the microphone.
Okay, here I have it now.
That's better. Oh, everyone's going to love you. So what did you want to talk about today?
Well, it's very interesting that you started talking about quantum theory concepts, because I feel like it never ceases to amaze me whenever I listen to your shows. Usually the topic is what I'm thinking about in my life, or what I'm working with, coming in my dreams. And this is what has been showing up in my dreams lately. Just these, I don't know where to start. If I would talk to you about the dreams that I've had over the last couple of nights.
So let's just talk about the dreams, and we'll go ahead and we'll analyze them.
Okay. Well, let's see. Should I could tell you the last night's dream or the night before?
Whatever you feel is relevant to create context. What I'm doing is going to be reading the dream world and trying to understand where it came from, what timeline it's in, if it even requires a signature frequency of time, because not all dreams have a time frequency to them.
Okay. So on January the 10th, it was Tuesday, the moon was in Scorpio. I dreamt of drumming, fast traveling, multiple corridors, and each of my selves came through in this like bullet. I was in a vehicle that was shaped like a bullet, and there was like a very simultaneous, like a domino effect of coming through with the words, but also coming through the corridors. Like each of the words were linked to the next.
Yep.
It was like everything was moving pretty quickly. There were amazing conversations that had to do with, I don't know, this quantum, like, mathematics, equations were coming in, and I'm not a math. So of course I wake up and I don't really, but I like it.
That's why you were experiencing superluminal dreaming. So just to let you know, there is not a frequency of time to that dream, because you are as many different beings simultaneously experiencing the same dream as the Master Soul Archive. So experience the dream, all creating a separate Akashic record from a separate world and a separate dream space, all dreaming the same dream. And your consciousness, the Master Soul consciousness, was conscious I am self to experience the different point. Those are those rooms and those corridors as you're transversing the multiverse, literally. I would even say that you probably went into another universe.
Yeah, I've been waking up every morning I take my time getting out of the bed, coming into my body, and sometimes just like where You know, like I know where I am, but it takes. But I start by, you know, touching body and back, places where I have, you know, soreness. But last night it was again the conversations, but it was about more about how we were made, especially with the. I was going through, like streaming into my bones with something to do with minerals and how we're made in our bodies with all of this elements and
You're understanding the fabric of the atomic particles that are creating us, that are all photonic beams of light that all emanate from a master source frequency, universe-wide. So let me ask you a question. Why were you living in the woods for so long by yourself?
I wasn't actually by myself. I have a partner that I'm with, my boyfriend, my partner. Well, I just felt like I wanted to go partially on an adventure. I wanted to go and experience the West Coast, to be in the forest. I felt a calling to be connected to Gaia, away from the city life. And I just felt like I was done with
Okay. Did you get what you wanted out of the forest?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
Are you ready to re-enter society?
I'm working on that right now.
Okay. What's keeping you away from society? That's where all your spiritual contracts are.
Well, I had a job recently, but I got laid off, so I've just been, once again,
so what is it that you really want to do?
I have a lot of things that inspire me. I'm an astrologer. I work with aromatherapy.
What makes you any different than the thousands of other astrologers and aromatherapists out there?
Well, I create blends based on your birth chart, and I feel that it's very unique. I don't know. I mean, I know there's plenty of aromatherapists and plenty of astrologers, but I don't know that. I feel that what I have to offer is unique. You know, it's
where is the value of going to you versus someone else? I ask these for specific questions because I'm reading you and trying to figure out why you really left society, because I don't think you really know. I think you've got a whole bunch of illusions that have created on top of illusions, and when you got out to the forest, something else occurred there and greatly confused you.
Yeah, when I was in the woods, there were times when I felt that I was parts of me were dissolving, but parts of me were also healing. Like I just felt like I had a major healing crisis, you know.
You were in a healing crisis in a forest when you should have been in society going through healing there. Instead, you turned to the forest. I'm not saying that's not a bad thing, but that wasn't your actual spiritual contract. There were healers that you were supposed to turn to at a particular era during their healing time, which was supposed to trigger you to being a healer yourself. I want you to understand, I'm not judging your time in the forest. I'm looking at what the positives and the negatives that it brought out. You missed, during that time in the forest, a great personal awakening. You felt you were going to find that personal awakening in the forest. You did find a personal awakening. It just wasn't the awakening you had pre-planned as the fetus in the womb. It was very rebellious of you to stay out there for that long, and it did create trauma and damage to the point you're not really ready to re-enter society now. You should be at the high wave now. 2017's gone, 2018, 6 years after nothing happened. You're part of that groundswell of people who understood nothing was going to happen until we individually make it happen. That means picking up the mantle of responsibility, going and learning healing modalities, getting clients under your belt as a person reading the stars, the moons, the healings that you can do, and expand your ability and menu of services. It is time the monks and masters come out of the mountains and put up brick and mortar shops that say in business, open for business. And you are one of those masterful beings who can no longer have a cabin in the woods without a brick and mortar shop that says open for business. It will be an incomplete life for you. Until you figure out how to bring yourself to the commitment and courage to make your journey part of your life's business, whether it's writing books, singing music, being a healer, a teacher, a philosopher. But you got to get out there and start doing it as your own person, your own name, not as a moniker. I know this sounds a little harsh, but I'm trying to help you. You have another opportunity for this next big awakening. Is that going to be the end of your opportunities? No, there's an infinite amount of opportunities ahead of you. But what comes now is the 2018. There'll never be another 2018. There'll never be another 2017. There'll never be another 2016. This is your 2018. Own it. Don't just let random things fall out of the sky and hit you in the head and determine where you're going in the future.
I was working in Waldorf. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. I was working with children.
The Waldorf schools?
Uh-huh. I was teaching. I did some parent-taught toddler groups, working with parents and their children, 1 to 3 year olds.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun. I also have done massage and Reiki. I'm certified in yoga. I feel like I've just been kind of gathering tools to see where it's going to...
Where in the United States are you living now?
Oregon.
In Oregon. And is it a small city, a big city?
It's a pretty small city, but I'm about 20 minutes away from the big city.
And that's Portland?
I'm in the woods, but I'm not that far from the woods. No, I'm down in Sam's Valley, right outside of Medford, Ashland.
Okay, it's pretty big.
It's about a half.
So you need to find a place in Bedford and Ashland that you can rent as a space and start saying open for business. And you make a menu of professional services that you know you can do, from astrology to home and land clearing, ancestral balancing, whatever it is that you know that you can go and do as energy offering and services. Healing comes in many forms.
I was thinking of starting to do it to try to promote myself online. So,
what do you know about promoting yourself online?
Not very much. I barely know how to get on the computer, but I'm learning. I'm learning right now.
Don't set your bar so high. There's only a limited amount of creator tools for doing it yourself. And unless you're really going to spend several hours per week solely on that subject, you're not even going to begin to understand what it takes to promote yourself. Like to do this show, how many out?
A lot, I imagine.
15,000 people. Plus a post on Facebook that has 15,000 like, plus a post on a YouTube post that has another 10,000. So I had to notify 30,000 people through various means as the show was going on. Or 30, 40, 40,000 people. You're starting out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those tools are not effective until you've done something that has created a body of work that is an archive that can regularly be gone back and looked at. This is why getting on track now is very important. You should have already had a year of practice and a handful of recordings already done. But you didn't. And now you've got to forgive yourself of an opportunity in the past to now accept this new opportunity that 2018 solely offers you with the already choices you have already made.
I was thinking about moving to Hawaii.
Yeah, but can you afford it?
Not at the moment, but...
So, is it not wasting energy right now thinking about something that is not within your grasp? In this moment of now. That doesn't mean a month or 5 months from now is going to be different. In this now moment. You have so many pots inside your burners, your metaphorical chef's burners. And a number of this stuff has, all the water's been boiled out of it, and it's just food at the bottom burning. As the chef of yourself, you've got to throw some of these dishes out, which are unattainable goals in this now moment. Free yourself of these unattainable goals. And this goes for everyone else out there. In this now, you can free yourself of all the attachments and the unattainable goals we've created because we had a dream. You're an infinite dreaming being with infinite choices and possibilities, not limited to the set of outcomes you've created.
I'm a little, I guess I feel like I kind of stay out of the town, the city, because I get overwhelmed. I have a lot of very intense ear ringing and...
Do you know what's coming for me next? If you've listened to me a while, you might. This is a suck it up, Buttercup moment. This is a spiritual grow up moment. This is a spiritual grow up moment. Your ears ring, therefore you can't be in the city. You're too sensitive, therefore you can't be in the city. Those are all arguments for limitations. And this is truly a suck it up, Buttercup, and learn to adapt, like you've done hundreds and thousands of times before. Take sacred discipline to a new level so you can lower the volume of empathic information. You're a powerful psychic, but you aren't a super psychic now. You don't even realize the levels of overload that can go on. You've limited yourself so much, you've lost some of your social skills, as well as some of those unseen empathic skills. And that's why you're afraid to go back to the city, because you gave up part of your sensitivity. And that sensitivity is a gift, specially designed for you in these now moments to learn to master, to use like a light switch on and off, a light with a dimmer switch, high, low, at command and will. It only requires commitment, courage, and the love of yourself to let Great Spirit And the force is working through all of us in and work with them. The universe is not working against you. It's working for you.
I know.
That's got to be your mantra. The universe itself is asking you to stop being the monk in the mountains and open a sign, and open a brick and mortar building that's on a sign that says open for business. This is what you created the life of, a life of service to those that don't know the unknown. And you're willing to be a guide, a guardian, a champion, a teacher, a historian, a healer on that journey, sharing your sacred neutral perspective in which you've mastered a lifetime to learn.
Would I still live in the mountains but start working in the city?
Yep. You can still live in the mountains. You just need an office that says open for business. And you need to learn the skills that get you back there and relearn the old skills that got you away from there.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I was doing myself. I thought I was benefiting myself by.
You were instantly gratifying your need for spirit and not your greater purpose. The key here is forgiveness. Don't torture yourself with this. I'm saying these words that may seem harsh to other people because you need to be back on track. No longer on the no plan. Right. That's what you've been doing. You're on the no plan. Get off the no plan. Create the plan. 3D, third dimensional and fourth dimensional plan for your spirit. I, of all people, fully understand what the no plan is. Okay? It's about being a completely unpredictable source being. Now it's time to get out of that process and back on track for what your dream is. Reconnect to the fetus in your womb, in the mother's womb. Take up sacred sensuality, sacred intimacy as your new form of personal healing with your boyfriend. Let go of true recreational sex in the old way and create a whole new relationship with it that amplifies and modifies your core frequencies. Deeper meditations happen, deeper intimate moments with your beloved happens, so that your greater skill set is higher frequency, higher vibration, and that is who you will attract as clients. High frequency, high vibration people who are looking for your connection, your interconnectedness, that they have spiritual contracts with you to give them that information. Just like you have a spiritual nothing but the truth, the whole chinchillada.
Well, I really appreciate it, Andrew.
Okay.
I appreciate you so much. Your teachings have been very I feel like I've done a lot, so much inner work now, and yeah.
Okay. Now let me ask you the biggest question of them all. What do you do as recreation that isn't light working crap? And I used crap on purpose.
What do I do as recreation?
That isn't light worker-esque.
Light worker-esque. I don't know. I take it.
The answer is nothing.
I've been.
That is being a zealot.
I mean, I go for walks every day.
That's still spirit, and knitting is still spirit, because it makes you think differently. solely for joy and fun and instant gratification? Your answer is nothing. I can see it in your energy field.
Yeah.
You have to find something that is solely instant gratification, joy, and fun that isn't spirit work, because it's got to remind you to be human. Let me tell you something. I don't want to know everything, because if I did, there would be no point in being here. So it's a suck it up, buttercup moment. Get your office in there. Start getting clients in there. Okay? Spend several hours a week on learning what truly marketing yourself is. If you don't already have the Living the Mystical Life online course, I highly recommend that you get it. I'll greatly increase the speed at which you can process empathic information. Learning to do the blood and the marrow work through the advanced heart meditation. Learning what it does to take the sacred journey to the sacred cave. Learning how to create the Dream Lodge of Peacemakers creation. All of those things that are part of your greater guided imagery of healing yourself, your soul frequency, and your understandings of time, space, emotions creating motions.
Yes, I definitely want to do the course.
Mm-hmm.
I have to
So
start working again.
this reading wasn't what you expected, huh?
I didn't really have, I don't know that I had any expectations.
I want you to delve deep into expectations. Go back to the person that was saying hello and was nervous.
Okay.
Empath her. Empath that woman of 15 minutes, 18 minutes ago. I'm sorry, 22 minutes ago, something like that. Go back to her. Feel her. What do you feel from her?
I feel that she is it was almost like when I called, I felt all of my energy pushing out so big out of my body that I had to kind of grab it and bring it back in. Just the whole spectrum of feelings, you know.
Mm-hmm. There was an expectation there. Everyone that calls has an expectation. It's not a bad thing. It's the nature of this type of process. And if you're going to be a reader, you also have to know that that process will affect you. It's being a healer too.
I think
they come with expectations.
I vacillate back and forth between like being very sure of what I want to do, and then I start questioning.
There you go. And your expectation was what? To try to put a laser focus on it.
Yes. On what I should be doing right now, because I'm going to be 50 here. Or no, I am 50.
See? Do what you had been doing was your biggest off the path process. And this is cyclical with you. You keep getting off the path of the last 30 years. On the path, off the path, on the path, off the path. Shit or get off the pot, darling. Or you're going to get hemorrhoids.
I think I keep running into moments where I feel like I'm working on healing myself, and then I
You just spent the last year in the woods healing yourself. Okay? Duh. You just spent the last year in the woods healing yourself. Let me ask you this. Are you really ready to go back to the workforce to earn money to make your dreams come true? Or are you waiting for someone to come and give you money? It hurts to answer that question because you've been waiting for someone to give you money for your dream. That's not ever going to happen. Only you make it happen. If you at this age has to get I am serious and get 3 jobs for the next 6 months to have money to do what your greater goal is, then you got to do that. You can no longer vacillate. You can no longer have cranial anal inversion. Okay, that's head up your ass syndrome. Can't afford that loss of years anymore. You've got to take sacred discipline and commitment to a new level. If you had 2 starving kids, you'd be having 3 jobs working 16 hours a day to feed them, wouldn't you?
And I did. I have a child. I worked a lot to raise, and that was.
Hey, where's the child now?
She's in Colorado, where I used to live.
Yeah, you got to speak into the microphone, darling. It's hard to hear you again.
Okay. She lives in Colorado, where we used to live together.
Okay.
I haven't seen her in a couple years, so.
How old was she when you just decided to go into the mountains and live without a house?
This was just 3 years ago, so she was 22.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah.
What do you think it did to her?
She was,
that you went and lived in the mountains?
She was. The original plan was she was going to come with us and travel.
But she didn't.
But then she went in a different direction. She went to Uruguay with her partner, and so then I came here to the West Coast with my partner. We're very close. I miss her.
So you need to get back on track. You need to bring up the serious side of you, and the airy fairy lighty light worker in you has to go, because that is a zealot to freedom, a zealot to unattachment.
What do I need to do now? Bring up the.
It's okay. Can't be a zealot to freedom and martyrship anymore. If you want to get your own things done this life. You don't really have the energy and the willpower in you right now to hold 3 jobs, do you?
No.
And that is what the forest has taken out of you. I want you to know that.
Well, in the last year, I have worked really hard. I've been working on farms, working for hours.
You're a 50-year-old woman working at farms. How much longer are you going to do that? Come on, be brutal, honest here. You're not a 20-year-old kid anymore.
Yeah.
Farm work is not for those at your age. Okay? What are you going to be, 62 in 12 years from now and half incapacitated and always in pain? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Physical fitness and age only lasts so long before the muscles melt away.
I guess I'm a little confused if you say I don't have the energy to work 3 jobs, but I was saying to you that I have the energy and the will force to work because I've done it. It's just that currently I am unemployed. It's only been a month, but I was
No. What
hoping
I'm
that
referring to is to going out and getting a McDonald's job or getting an office job, something that's completely not what you were doing previously, so that you could actually make larger volumes of money in a very short period of time, stick with it long enough so that you can open your own business. Your issue is lack here. You never have enough money and your goals are always set too high. Because the fairy light worker spirit has been keeping you on a path where lack is always a potential. Having to live off the land, this and that. It's created a state of mind with you that doesn't connect into how the original you, who had to go and do that previously, did it a different way. Smarter, not harder. I use the McDonald's job as a metaphor to trigger within you.
to trigger like Ubi.
All right.
I worked at McDonald's before when I was younger.
Yeah. So did I.
Are you?
Taught me a lot of interesting things about a lot of people. Mastered skills in the drive-thru doing 120 cars an hour. Learned all about the Babylonian money curse. How every dollar exchange, what it does to the person receiving the money in the company.
So I guess I feel like confused. Like on the one moment, it's like do this, yet on the other side, ourselves in it. It seems.
No, I'm trying to help you understand is your old set of choices was your argument for limitation. Your new set of choices has to remove because you led a limited life. You need to get to you. This is the same thing that I've said from show to show to show. I'm simply saying in a different signature frequency moment of the now. You in the moment. When you're in the airy-fairy lightworker mode, you're living on hope in the future and allowing the no-plan and spirit to work through you. That's great for life, but you, as the spiritual contracts, were supposed to have learned that long ago and taken that to the concrete jungle as part of your journey of being a teacher who has done the no-plan long enough to teach it to others so that they know when they're on the no-plan. Spirit working with them and through them. Now, does that make sense?
Yeah, my palms are sweating.
You're detoxing right now, actually. And there are other people in the audience who are this too, around those don't realize that they're zealot freedom light workers. I'm free all the time, a butterfly on the land. Bullshit. You're a human being with spiritual contracts. Get over the freedom of the butterfly. Great and powerful philosophy, but unless you have actual sacred application of it, it's fucking pointless. Light workers are almost always in mental masturbation process, hoping for outcomes. That's what my opening speech was about. Stop controlling outcomes you cannot control. Stop creating hope toxically. You've got to shed off the light worker image and be you. Unencumbered, in business, confident of herself, so confident she could double her prices. That's when you're operating at a new frequency, higher frequency. Everything before this was just ways for you to experience high frequency. Now you must maintain it for the long term. And be the master who came out of the mountains and opened a brick and mortar facility that says open for business. That's the confidence you have to muster, and commitment and courage you must come with. You were a monk in the forest, in the mountains. Now you're ready to use that to your advantage.
I am.
You gotta talk into the mic, darling.
Yes, I am ready.
Okay.
Can you
Then
hear
what
me
is the
now?
first thing you're gonna do to make commitment and courage to this process that the airy fairy light worker can't put off track?
Lord, well, I am currently working on putting a plan together. I have different ideas of how I wanted to, like put some things up on the internet, create some flyers.
That's all future
I'm
stuff.
actually gonna.
That's all
I'm
future.
sorry.
What can you do now? And an hour
I
from
have
now.
I have an astrology. I have an astrology reading tomorrow night. And I did raise my prices a little.
What I'm referring to is prayer.
Yeah.
Committing to prayer that you're going to change the airy fairy light process in you, and you're committing to accepting the spiritual contracts that you had for birth, to be a reader, to be a healer, to be a psychic, to be a public personality. Have the suck it up buttercup moment so that there is a big hunk of cash within you so you can open your brick and mortar building right.
So then I need to
get multiple jobs and get over the fact that you need multiple jobs to do that at the age that you're at. You just see them as temporary money earners until you've made the money that you need to make. You put it in the bank, you save it until you're ready to open that building. And between now and that time, you keep doing your readings, you increase your prices, you go and put those flyers out. But it still comes back to always a moment of now. Because you're only doing things in the now. You can no longer really deeply think about the future. You spent years doing that. Darling, I must end this call and move on to the next one.
Okay, Andrew, thank you so much. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate
When you go back to listen to this replay, you'll hear me saying different words over and over again so that the greater you can understand that it's time for the old way to end and a whole new way to begin so that you can maintain high frequency.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, darling. You have a great day. Good talking to you. All right, infamous, stupendous producer Robert. Spin.
Okay, our next caller is Roland from Bridgetown.
Bridgetown, Barbados. Roland, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Andrew. Can you hear me?
Welcome, Roland. How you doing? I am in Barbados and you in Barbados. Outstanding.
And it's on the 11th too, even more outstanding.
Great, and I can hear your Barbados crickets. I'm indoors right now, so I don't hear the Barbados crickets.
Okay.
So, what questions did you have today?
Yeah, well, going through in terms of my incarnation, who I was before this incarnation, also making the connections like a triangle. I have the hypotenuse and the adjacent, but to get that last line to make the connection where I understand energy, seeing this hologram for what it is. My dream time keeps showing me like the real hologram. Sometimes I be walking and everything feels like gel. And basically my whole, why am I masking my full potential, I should say.
Okay, what year were you born?
1984.
So the last person you were before the Roland of today that's calling, you were born 1920, died in 1971, right around 1971. So you're a little over 50 years old. You were living in one of the islands north of Australia. It looks like New Guinea, but actually one of the smaller islands that's part of that particular area. You were a fisherman for the longest time. You saw World War II. You saw the Japanese ships come and go. You saw the aircraft, flying above you during the war.
Was I an engineer and an architect? Because some of the stuff that I do and nobody hasn't teach me that I can holographically project either a house, a truck, or things that I work with on a daily basis. I actually holographically project everything to a scale of 150.
Yeah, so that's this lifetime you created this. What I'm trying to do is create your grid of what your past lives were. So your last life was an ocean worker, a fisher person, and what you were doing was balancing particular spiritual contracts so that the fish that you were catching had a spiritual contract to be caught by you to the people that would ultimately go to eat them. And that's an ancestral balancing process of what you were doing. So your last lifetime was full ancestral balancing. So this lifetime is about a dharmic lifetime. It's not a karmic repetition lifetime. It's why you're able to use mind constructs like the equipment that you use or whatever it is that works with you in the energy moment, because you've had so much experience with them. Just like a fisherman who's done fishing for 50 years, when they go out on their 49th year, their 49 years of experience fully affects them and they're fishing at that moment. No matter what it is that you do. But the key to understand here is you are leading a dharmic lifetime, that you are meant to expand and explore. You are not meant to have a limited point of view. And you, at a regular process, 3 to 4 times per year, have to look at your cycle and go, what is limiting me, even if it is my spirit? I must fully know what my limitations are. I must, like the last caller, you also must be a full part of society, because you too were meant to be a master in these moments of now. That does take exchange for energy for your perspective. You've done it thousands of lifetimes before, where you were a healer, a psychic, whatever it is that you want to call it, and you took money for those processes. This lifetime, you're finding it a challenge to use money for the infinite point of view. Yet it is the very fundamentals of conquering the infinite point of view is manifesting within the Babylonian money curse system.
And I find I can raise money very easily, but I find that every time I have accumulation due to my crisis in 2009, I put like a fear lock so that I ain't getting involved in anything, and it hold on for me for a bit. But I'm working myself to be more confident where channeling the money and not allowing it to pour out, like putting a hole in the bottle.
Yes, but what I think you did whenever you had your crisis, you threw some of the baby out with the bathwater, which is your social skills, your ability to interact people, because you went full on, you fully invested into the spiritual side.
Yeah,
You
some
can't
people say
stay
rolling
fully
is good, that
invested
you're
in
not from
spiritual
here.
side, or you will be ungrounded.
Right.
Okay? You were
That's
born
true.
to have an experience here. You weren't born to have experiences in other worlds.
Right.
Now, what your Akashic record reveals is a cyclical pattern of doing this over and over and over again. You get to a certain level and there isn't a proper teacher there, and you take it to the extremes. That's the greater teaching for you. Self-illumination, and then knowing when you need a teacher, even if it's for a few moments, or for you shows, or for whatever it is. You need that teacher to give you the greater perspective of what are my limitations individually, separate of the teacher's limitations. For all teachers have limitations too, because they're limited by who they can teach. Quality of who teaches. Are those people who coming to learn grounded and balanced and ready to learn?
Yeah, I have passed through a lot of groups in my previous incarnation where I meet like different people in terms of meditation groups, and eventually I get to a certain point. For some reason, I just get removed from the groups. Because after people see that I can, like the person that will head the group, usually I find that if I connect with them, I'll be able to see what they're doing. So everybody used to look up to
But
me.
you're
So
too
there be a lot of
you're
jealousy.
too much into spirit.
Yeah.
Too much into spirit.
I'm finding
I want
that
you to think of this as a metaphor. You've seen soccer fans out there, and then you've seen the crazy ones that, every time there's a goal, they jump up and run around and go goalie, and drink too much and are hooligans.
Right.
Light workers do the same thing. Okay?
Right.
You are a zealot fan of light working. It's all you want to do. Plus your job, that's your slave job. That's the division of love in you. The fact that you threw all into spirit is wonderful and great, but now you must find balance, the other side. When the fisherman isn't fishing, what's he doing?
You know, while you were speaking, I was seeing like a tree and seeing like the grass, and it was showing me you have to get your roots down. Don't be circling at the top of the tree, but put those roots down so we can have a connection grounded.
Yes. Because there is where more frequency and more energy will flow through you. Right now, you are operating on a very high frequency, but only for a few minutes a day. And that's creating a dopamine release in you that makes you think you're 24/7, 365 spirit. That only comes with commitment and courage to raise our frequency and vibration over years and years and years. You've shown you have that commitment and courage.
Yeah, I even had
now you got to balance
this morning.
it. Yeah, you got to balance it now.
Yeah.
Now, I could talk more about past lives, but you're actually one of those people. It really makes no difference what you've done in the past. In other past lives, there may be little nuggets here or there, but ultimately, it's what are you going to do now, separate of who you were in the past or whatever the hell you did in other lifetimes, because those truly are irrelevant to the Roland of today.
Right.
Because you've gone through 10,000 birth canal forgettings to make sure you wouldn't remember who you were, what you were, and what you did on purpose. Because this is a uniquely real 2018, 2019, 2020 experience solely tailored and created by you.
Right.
You're going to spend all your times in the other world? Or are you going to balance yourself here? Find a sacred relationship to be in. Find somebody that's a signature frequency match for you and share your inner journey with them so they share their inner journey with you. Be on the path of the healer. Get out of your slave job. Okay? Similar to the other caller, you got to save up money. Get out of the lack scenario so you can have your own business.
Right. Yeah, because I see business as the energy generating
Yes.
Was the word.
Energy generation.
So that it can feed me, right? So that it feeds me into my reality that I'm living in the everyday. Unlike working for someone, which is just giving you your time and soul energy for something that doesn't even match back the value of exchange.
Exactly. If it cannot match back the energy exchange for long periods of time, that's zealotry, it's martyrship. Right. It's wasting your energy.
Yeah. I have another inquiry that knocked there at me. Relationships, when you hit that acid spike, I find relationships, I don't know what, so I find relationships to be a little tricky. I don't know
because you went into all spirit. You went to all spirit, and you didn't allow your natural malehood to come through. You've suppressed it. You've actually, what I call, have like a dog's choke collar on your male energies right now, because you're trying to be an impeccable spiritual person. That has done, puts your kundalini into twists and knots. We will always have charge and polarity and contrast in our life. We are agenda-driven beings. That's why we come here, for dharmic and karmic relations with people, places, and things.
Clarity. At least I know what I have to do and committed to do it, so that I can really see we move forward and not do the repeated occurrence. Because I'm one person that can backtrack, and as you can see the information as you read, I always check everything I do. So now I have that little bit of clarity and making connection. I can focus and be committed on my grounding and getting the everyday in that balance.
Yep. Finding the balance each and every day is your journey.
Yeah. So what would be your skills?
First thing first is you got to figure out how to turn off the zealot light worker inside yourself. The one that does light worker work 24/7, 365. Got to dream like a normal human being again. It's okay to put ideas down for your brick and mortar business. Right. It's a good idea for you to get out and go to a nightclub or go see a movie or go hang out with the guys. Go and try to find a date. Okay? And use your spirit skills as less as possible.
Right.
Okay?
If I hydrant only in case emergency break glass.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
I got one more thing for you to contemplate here.
Right.
What you have learned from spirit, you're not ever going to forget.
Right.
And there's a part of you that's afraid, if I get off this path and I'm not all impeccable spirit 24/7, I'm not going to be able to keep what I've earned. No, you've earned it. You've done those rites of passage. You are going to gain a whole new point of view once you get off the path of the zealot and get on the path of Roland now, here, today, who has an agenda as a spirit here. Reinvest your personal psychic skills on yourself. Who was I in the fetus? What was I planning? What are my individual spiritual contracts? Who are the people I'm supposed to meet? Then create the vision board where you redirect your skills into manifesting the relationship, the right job, the business.
You know what's funny? I was in a store today and I picked up that book. I usually read books. So I picked up the book and as I opened the page, it said, "What do you want?" And I just laughed to myself. And it said, "Do what you love." And what do you want?
There you go. That's the university showing you the teaching and synchronicity.
Yeah. I feel the ease and release, so just to put my hand to the plow and make life happen for me, rolling in the now.
There you go. Stop living in the future and stop allowing hope to control you. And you will have these moments where you fall back onto the old Roland's ways, who hope is controlling you. And you just got to see yourself being ruled by the future instead of the now. It's the now that rules, not what's in the future. Could have, would have, should have's.
Thank you. Making that decision now.
Okay. Now, one last thing for you to understand is the job that you're doing now is what's paying the bills, and the job of the future is what's going to pay the new bills.
Right.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
All right.
Take time to develop your mind business.
Right.
Okay? Being in the mind is not a bad thing. Heart space awareness with the mind is the key here. And when you use heart space awareness to your personal advantage of growing yourself, whole new layers come out of the dream weave for you.
And they got me.
All right, Roland. Thanks a lot for calling. I got to move on to the next caller.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, Robert. Spin the wheel of callers. And who is next?
Next caller is Sue Hopkins from over the Atlantic Ocean.
Hello,
Sue
Andrew.
Hopkins, are you there?
I'm here, Andrew. Can you hear me?
Yes. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Liverpool, UK.
Liverpool, UK. Welcome to the show, darling. What do you want to talk about today?
Oh, it's just really beautiful to connect, Andrew. I've listened to your shows for a long time, and it's the first time I've been able to conference call with you tonight. So thank you, and hello to everyone. Yeah, just really interested in everything you've been saying tonight. Has really resonated with me too. So it does seem that there's themes emerging tonight. I suppose, like some of your earlier speakers, I've taken myself out of the healing game for a few years in a journey of, I suppose, recovery. And during that time as well, I've been doing lots of working with clay.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose I'm really interested in shamanic practice, and yeah, just really excited to be online with you, and hoping that, yeah, you can help steer me forward with some of your beautiful insight, really.
Okay. You said you've been working with clay. What kind of objects have you been making?
Well, I started off making really beautiful labyrinths, and some sacred symbols. And at the moment, I've been making beautiful unicorn, which is actually a commission for somebody.
Beautiful. What kind of clay are you using?
I'm experimenting with lots of different clays. I feel like I'm on a learning curve with it all, and it's an apprenticeship, but it feels very grounded and very connected to the earth. And I'm working with a mixture of playful clays, which is like porcelain with paper, which is quite sculptural. But I'm also working with stonework clay and terracotta, so experimenting with them, really.
Okay. So you said you've been interested in the shamanic path. Do you do your own ceremonies and rituals?
I do. Often it's in line with the various holidays, so I often have sacred fire. I've done the journey of sharing story to sacred fire. I'm learning to play the flute, which I find it really helps me come back into my heart when I'm too in my head. And I share space around the fire as well with other people who are on similar path to me, close friends or people who are around at the time. So I live in a really urban place. I live in a place called Bootle, which is north of Liverpool. So when I'm hearing about your callers living in the woods, you know, it feels, it's like, oh, looking at hopes and dreams, I would say that that's probably been part of my yearning to be close in nature. And that was originally my question, was also about how we work in our shamanic ways in urban environments. I've got the luxury of a really nice garden, even though it's an urban space. So there are 2 trees at the back of the garden where I do a lot of sacred work. I feel it's quite a potent place for this part of the world, really. A few people have witnessed some quite powerful energies forming around the area. So I suppose I'm embracing life here in urban Bootle. I'm doing my best to still be spirited and enjoy nature as much as I can.
Okay. So do you do ceremonies all by yourself?
I do ceremonies by myself as well. I was introduced to a Taoist practice as well of Yoni Puja, which is a really lovely ritual for the goddess. I don't do it as often as I probably could, but I found that healing practice really lovely. And I'm basically, you know, on my journey of trying to get the balance between the sacred and being in the world. So yeah, I suppose I feel I am one of those butterflies like you were talking about earlier. I thought that the clay work is part of my creation here, and it's almost like a legacy of something I can leave in the world, but I don't know whether I'm deluding myself on that. And just
no, you're not. You're not deluding yourself. You just have to take yourself to the next level. Similar to the other callers, you're at a point where the old way can no longer serve you the new way. You have to have a whole different relationship to the clay and the shamanic practice. So the first thing first is you always need to have a community of people that you can work with. You need to make sure that you regularly go to communities and hear other people's stories as well as tell your story. And then you have to be able to take your shamanic practice to the next level, which is the ingredients of clay that you're working with has to have prayers over it days, weeks, or months before you use it. Because you're trying to take artistic impression and make it at an impeccable level where it's sold for money. So the artistry has to have unique energy behind it that also helps sell the device, whatever it is, a cup, a pot, a pottery, whatever. You're putting your signature frequency as the shaman into it. So the ingredients that you go and collect and buy, there are contract revocations and prayer invocations that you can do for it, and then you let them sit. Or you do large volumes of it. You bring the clay out to the fire and you bless it multiple times so that when you go to do it and make the next thing, the very ingredients that you're touching is full of creation, inspiration, and dreams, and the energies of your prayer.
So Andrew, I've done quite a lot of that with my clay work. So are you saying I need to step up that game? Because you said sometimes praying for weeks or months. Even is that a key here for me?
Yes, that is a key here for you. Absolute key. You've got to step up the game where the effort put into the ingredients, the preparation of the ingredients, and the space that you're doing your work in is the next level of the impeccable work. Because it'll be the clear space, the clear environment, that the super focus, the genius, artistic genius in you will come out and make that masterpiece.
Yes, I get that environment's important for this then. It isn't just about my energy and my prayer work, it's actually about the sacred space in which I practice the work.
Yes, absolutely. So you need to grid your environment. Break it up into 2 foot by 2 foot sections. Even if you got to use string or 3 foot by 3 foot sections. You got to use strings so you can visualize what the gridding of your place looks like. In each separate quadrant, each separate section that's in a grid has to be fortified with your willpower. Multiple prayers, invocations, removal of negative entities and habit patterns. The whole gambit of everything that you've learned from all teachers needs to be imprinted into that grid within your space.
That's beautiful, thank you, because I have been collecting my potent teachings to empower space and to empower myself. So that's very useful, thank you.
Yeah. You got to imprint at high density levels who you are, what you've learned, what you've been through, what you're creating, and that's got to be in a big giant grid around you. So solid and dense that nothing negative can reach through and change your point of view.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, the next thing to understand is you got some chronic pain going on in your body, and you can't really ignore it anymore.
Yes.
Okay? What's the chronic pain?
I've had a knee injury, which I'm trying to, well, I am beginning to address with diet. And I did a lot of healing and quiet time over the festive season, which really helped it. So I imagine there's quite a lot of other energy impacting on it as well. But I think it is the body journey in terms of supporting my body with high vibrational food and anti-inflammatory food. So I have started that path.
Well, what I'm going to suggest for you is you have to accelerate the path of healing the body. That this chronic pain is taking too much of you away every day, and ultimately your greater creations are being limited by this chronic pain. My first suggestion for you is, have you heard me talk about flotation tanks before?
No, but I adore the water.
So do you know what a sensory deprivation chamber is?
Yes.
So that is what you got to go. And every major city in the world has these facilities. They've been around since the 1950s. And what it is 200 gallons of water that has 800 pounds of salt in it. So you float at the top, and then you're in a sealed chamber, so there's no light, no sound, no nothing. That's why it's sensory deprivation. And there is where people of spirit and psychic abilities can amplify their psychic skills 10,000-fold simply by turning off the sensory organs and refocusing the mind. Then there's the science, what 800 pounds of salt and water does. You are floating in a high brine frequency that is literally sucking out of you inflammation deep from in the core. And you're going in there for an hour to 90 minutes to 2 hours at a time. You need to make sure that you get into these flotation tanks. And I'm sure there's facilities that are around you somewhere. So you got to Google it. And you need to have 5 to 6 sessions. As well as you need to do colonics. You are clogged up right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay,
and it's not from the food you're eating. You're storing. So for some reason, your body is storing food for days and weeks at a time in the intestinal tract before it lets it let go. So something went on in you that put fright in the body that it wasn't going to get food, and it's stuck in a survival mode, literally retaining feces, creating fat.
Great. I've got my plan for 2018, Andrew.
Okay. And then, obviously some form of diet change is, on a greater need, but I would encourage colonics and flotation tanks as your 2018. If you can get 10 colonics in 2018 and 10 flotation tanks in 2018, you're going to be a completely different being.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Is there anything else that you'd like to ask?
It's such a wonderful opportunity and my mind's gone completely blank, so I'll give another caller a chance, Andrew, but thank you very much. And
that is actually going to be our last caller for the day. I want to thank everyone that's come on. We have a limited number of seats left in the mentorship for those that want to be on the fast track, the 1-year plan that will meet every Friday beginning at the end of January. So I encourage you, if you are wanting to become a mentorship this year, to go on and contact the website. All right, everyone, thanks a lot, and we'll be back. Each different bubble of reality is true. A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma. Nudge, nudge, it's the Holy Grail. Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence. Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important? Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.